This is Joel Spreckman and Christian Mayano with Cure IBD Foundation, and we are here with Justine Meader, who was diagnosed with Crohn's at age 13, had 15 years of debilitating symptoms, and over the years, seems like you've tried every pharmaceutical drug to abate the symptoms, and none worked. Drugs such as oxycodone, sulfasalazine, Pentasa, Remicade, Humira, Cimzia, Novafran, Tramadol, and Prednisone, Flagyl, 6-MT, and Imuran. All of which, thumbs down, failed to control your symptoms. And then I understand you started smoking cannabis in 2011, mostly to alleviate the nausea and a little bit the pain. And you've since then found that juicing is an efficient way to ingest large quantities of THCA and CBDA, which have powerful anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer properties. They're both non-psychotropic, and you can get the positive benefits without feeling high. Is that all correct, Justine? Did I say everything correctly?
That is all correct. Yes, that is
Cool.
my life so far.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking time out to chat with us here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Yes, so my question was, how long ago did you guys get diagnosed and begin your journey with Crohn's and colitis?
Good question. I was diagnosed in 2011 when I was living on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., and I immediately went the Western route for a decade. And I found that the drugs kept on, they would work for a couple months or years, and then I'd have to go to a new drug, and then a new drug. And when I moved out to California, I realized that I don't want to go too high on the drug intensity scale. It was my own personal decision, and it's kind of interesting. But yoga teacher training and other things that I was doing at that time kind of opened up my mind to the possibilities of a more natural and safe and effective solution. So I've been mostly drug-free, thankfully, mostly through yoga and meditation, supplements, body-mind stuff for, and diet. I'm on a very strict diet. That's probably the biggest factor. For maybe half a year, I'm thinking. I do keep Lialda around in case I have something going on. Like this week, I took a couple because I probably ate something I shouldn't have eaten. Like last week was my birthday, and I decided what better way could Joel spend his birthday than have New York pizza. I'm from New York originally.
Oh.
There it is.
So that threw me off a little bit, but it tasted really good. So that's been my journey.
I was like salivating right now just thinking about it.
That makes three of us the same way. But I in September of 2013, I'm originally down from here from San Diego, California. In September 2013, I had just I joined a fraternity, and Cal State Northridge kind of lost sight of why I was there, failed out, came home, was getting ready to join the Navy, and I think with all the stress and the susceptibility to having the disease in my diet and whatnot, I was diagnosed in January 2014 after a series of tests. My nurse practitioner at the time thought it was appendicitis, showing inflammation in all the areas. It went even as far as I had endoscopic surgery on my frontal right sinus. They drilled 2 holes and drained it because the CT scan showed really bad inflammation, and they didn't want it to amass and spread to the brain. And so me, being a patient, like, oh yeah, please, let's save my brain, let's go along with it. But at the end of it, the surgeon ended up saying, there was really nothing to drain. I'm not sure what, And so in January in 2014, the P-ANCA test is what actually brought about the diagnosis. And so from that point on, I also went immediately the Western route, prednisone, pumped full of prednisone with a pairing of Imuran. And that got me into remission, thankfully, fairly quickly. But as soon as I got out, I wanted to get back to life. I was only 21. I was working at a craft cocktail bar, of which I was like enamored with. So I went right back to work and ended up moving downtown. And in hindsight, I see that I did an entire year of damage, for more damage. And so now here we are in 2015. Removed myself from that lifestyle, that job, and I'm kind of where we're all kind of in a similar transitional period, kind of searching these alternative things, and just going to, I can imagine, or I can vividly remember at Sharp Memorial Hospital sneaking in my medical marijuana. I would ask the nurses to set up my shower, and because you're all, you feel like a stranger in your body, you can't do anything. So she comes in and sets it up. I'm like, okay, thank you. And I get up and I turn on the steam, and I just light up right there, right? Because that was what was helping me. I was doing that at my parents' house when I was vomiting bile and having the multiple trips to the restroom. That's the only, and I was still hiding it from my parents because they weren't nearly as understanding, you know. But so here we are now, and and there's only up to go, and that's what I see, at least.
That's right. Yep.
That's been our story.
Yeah. I'm never going back down. That's what I've decided.
There you go. You're on top of the ladder, top rung.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I don't ever want to feel like I've felt before and just be in that horrible place. So I'm going to do everything I can to keep good.
Well, if you could, to share with our listeners, tell us about that horrible place. Like, when were you first diagnosed, and what did the doctor recommend, things like that?
Oh, man. So it was like literally, I think, like 5 days before my 13th birthday. So I was pretty much diagnosed at 13. I had my first colonoscopy, endoscopy. So scary for a little kid. Like, not even, I had no idea what I was doing, really. Just crying all the time. So sad. It makes me so sad just thinking about it. But so going through all that, and then, just saying that they have Crohn's disease. And nobody knew what Crohn's disease was, in 1999, really. It was still kind of barely new, and here I was, a little kid. So let's see. So then we did that. Lost my train of thought there. But then I got put on all these crazy medications that I had no idea what they were. And my mom was right there next to me, my dad, the whole time, just kind of trying to figure it all out and see what it is that I really had. And she was Googling Crohn's disease, which our doctor said was probably the worst idea she ever had, because it didn't turn out good the way that she was, the information that she was getting was totally inappropriate and not good, and just bad stuff. So, and then, so I've tried everything, in the time that I've been ill. And then in 2013, that was the worst flare that I had ever been in. And I worked through that entire flare. I didn't miss one day of work for the entire year there, which is pretty wild. But then, I've kind of like blocked that out because it was so bad. But I was at work one day and just had this horrible pain in my stomach, and I went home, and what came out of my poop was like black. So it was black, tarry, like just bad. So then I ended up going to the hospital thinking that, just a flare, I'll be fine, whatever. And then they give me the endoscopy, and the ulcers are just so bad. The bleeding is so bad. I don't have any kind of pain medication that helps me. Tossing, turning, ouch, all that stuff. So they had to actually give me Ativan to calm me down because my anxiety was just so high from the whole experience. And so I came out of the hospital and got a second opinion for what to do at that point. And the first opinion was to go on Remicade, which I had already been on before. And I was just super scared that going back on Remicade, my body would build up an antibody to it. I would get
allergic reaction or something like that.
Allergic reaction, die pretty much. I was like waiting for death, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So then I went to another doctor to get a second opinion, and her opinion was Remicade as well as methotrexate. And so I was like, man, you guys are just pumping me full of things that are just going to make me die. And I'm like, I'm only like 26 at this point, you know what I mean? I have this whole long life to live, and you're just giving me things that are just, there's got to be a better way, you know what I mean? So there's got to be a better way. So it took a few months to kind of get ready to juice, because I was so scared of that too, because, like, what's going to happen? So unknown, so scary, so just...
Right. Well, before we get to the juicing, you mentioned that this is your second Remicade experience. When was your first one, and how did that one go?
So the first Remicade I had, I was 22 at first, and then it went great first, I felt better, felt wonderful, everything was awesome. And then, so I was on it for every 8 weeks, and then I didn't do so hot on that after a few months, so then it was every 6 weeks. And then it got to the point where they were talking about putting a port in me because they couldn't find a vein anymore because my vein was so used up from the Remicade. My hair fell out, I got eczema, my hands had eczema so bad they would bleed. I would wake up at night itching. And then I had to be in the hospital, for a 3-hour infusion that was just so boring. So then every 6 weeks, and then eventually I never felt better. I would go in, to get that juice, and I would come back out and just feel the same. So I was like, you know what, forget that one.
Yeah.
So that was my first Remicade experience.
I
And
hear
then,
you. I sorry to interrupt. I just had my I had my third infusion of Remicade a little over 4 weeks ago, so I get the next one in 3 weeks. So, and I've heard similar things, similar stories, that it works for X amount of time, plateaus, and then there's some sort of reaction. So, I think that leads right into the next question you had about the
Yeah, I mean, was there anything else a doctor recommended? Since you had these pretty significant negative symptoms from the Remicade, were there any other recommendations? This is all in Maine, is that right?
Yep, all in Maine.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and Maine at first. My second opinion was in Boston at Mass General.
Okay.
But the majority of my therapy's been in Maine.
And what else do they recommend when you were having these symptoms and you didn't want to go on it anymore? What did the doctor say?
They didn't have any other recommendations. It was Remicade and methotrexate, and my choice was just going to be to have everything removed and just, take out my whole colon. And I was just like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need this stuff anymore. Like,
Yep.
You can have it all.
Yep.
So that was going to be my personal choice to do that.
Right.
So their options were Remicade and methotrexate, and I was all for surgery and just taking everything out.
Wow. And aside from Crohn's disease, have you ever been formally diagnosed with anything else medically that you want to share?
Yep, I've been diagnosed with osteopenia, which is the beginning stages of osteoporosis, and that's due to the mass amounts of prednisone I've been on since I was 13, pretty much. And then I had also gotten DVT, deep venous thrombosis in my right leg, so I had the blood clot, and then I had a kidney stone. That was the only other thing.
Wow. Wow, yeah, I mean, prednisone, thankfully I was only on it for a little bit of time, but actually I left that out in the story earlier. I'd forgotten. You reminded me. It was my prednisone experience that led me to research anything on the alternative side. It was the negative symptoms I had because I had a huge flare, and just my face. It wasn't nearly as bad as most people, but it was enough for me that my face blew up, and I was having joint pain as well as gritty teeth, and it didn't seem like this should be the first option that someone recommends when I go in for intestinal pain. I had an inflamed ileum, and that's what led me down other stuff. And you mentioned prednisone earlier.
Yeah, that was the first thing that they prescribed, from the get-go. And since then, at first it was 60 milligrams daily for the first few months, and then we went down to 40, and then it was 20 milligrams daily for 13 months. And I was working behind the bar, and I just finally, it's embarrassing, but I had psychosis at one point. I was drove myself mad.
Yeah.
But I'm extremely thankful that today is day 2 of not taking any, and I'm able to swim and be here and share. You know what I mean? So it's such an awesome feeling. And I went earlier. You said, oh, I lost my train of thought. I can't tell you how many times that's happened. That brain fog is a son of a gun. It's a son of a gun.
Yeah, it happens all the time. That's the only, I think one thing I still have left, from the Crohn's disease is just my mind is kind of over here sometimes.
That can't be corralled, though.
The what?
It can be corralled back. You said it's over here. It can be corralled back and totally,
Yeah, and that's what I'm working on now is my mind. Because speaking of that prednisone psychosis, I just weaned myself off of prednisone, so I'm now fully pharmaceutical free, and that's been for about the last month. But what I went through withdrawing from prednisone after being on it for pretty much 11, 12 years nonstop. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, that was the worst. That was the worst. I was like, this is not, it wasn't even me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that just goes to show you what one little pill can actually do to a person's body and their mind.
Did you
So,
have any anti-anxiety or anti-depression medication to combat the withdrawal? Because right now I'm prescribed Xanax because I have I think anyone who's diagnosed with an IBD is for the most part a type A. They're very strong. They work, they drive themselves to be perfectionists, and eventually if you let it, you give yourself anxiety disorder and things of that nature. So
yeah.
did you have anything like that at the time, or did you just kind of bite the bullet and just go through the next few months and
I bit the bullet and used a lot more cannabis, just to kind of help relax and calm a little bit more, because the thoughts that I had going on in my head were just like, holy, no, not good.
not
Like,
me?
not me.
They're not
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, not me at all. So, yeah, power to the prednisone people that are still on it, but no, thank you.
Yeah, same here. You're reminding me of these horrible times, but it's really good to share
It is.
that I'm a very social person and I love being around people and friends and even strangers and going out a lot. And I found myself being very introverted and just wanting to like clean at odd hours. And it was the 3 a.m. internet searches of how to cure colitis and how to naturally find healing is what led me to anything I know today and getting me off of that. And how was your yeah, I think you and I were on the internet at 3 a.m., right? It was all the
Yep.
prednisone people are only the only people on the internet at 3 a.m. are probably the prednisone people and
Sounds
the
about right.
insomniacs.
Sounds about right.
Yep, that game Candy Crush has saved my life more times than I can.
That was you I was playing against.
Yeah, more than likely.
That's funny. So you mentioned earlier juicing and cannabis. So how did you stumble across that? How did you find that in the juicing part or even cannabis?
Yep. So I stumbled upon cannabis, like way back in high school, and started then, and found it helpful, but didn't really know, the power of it. And then I started working at the dispensary, the first one in Maine, and learned about a whole bunch of different ways, to medicate and things like that. Never really gave juicing that much of a thought until I was, almost dead in the hospital, and they're, saying Remicade, methotrexate, all this crazy stuff. So my boss at the dispensary, she was always doing research about different ways, to use cannabis, and she mentioned juicing, and I was like, no, 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 like I can't eat vegetables. Are you crazy, lady? Like, no, no,
Yeah.
no. So it took a few months for me to really be like I can put a plant in my body and it's going to be okay. I had to get that because I haven't had a fruit or vegetable. I can't even tell you how long it's been since I've had one of those. To have to think that that's what's going to fix me,
Yeah.
which is kind of hard. But then there was one day, I was crying at work because I was just like, this is so crazy. Like they're gonna have to take my intestines. Like this is out of control.
Yep.
And then so crying, 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 and she's like, Justine, oh my God, like try the juicing, take it home. Just try it. What have you really got to lose? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't had a vegetable, and I don't know how long. Lettuce is my worst enemy. Like going
Yeah.
on and on. And so I'm like, really, I'm gonna put a leaf. But yep, so they sent me home. They had bought a juicer at work, so they sent me home with that, a whole bag of leaves, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. I'll
Yeah.
try it.
Sniveling, just.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? Like, this was my last straw. I was like 95 pounds, like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? This is what I'm going to try. And then, no joke, a week later, she came up to me and she was like, Justine, like, you have color in your face. You have energy. Like, you really, like, you can tell. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's weird, but I can stay up now, and, like, I felt really good. Like, it was just, I wasn't pale. I was feeling like a normal girl, which was pretty weird, a week later, because no other medication I've ever had has really done a turnaround in less than maybe 2 months or so, so that was a pretty wild thing, so.
Absolutely.
Wow, it's a pretty fascinating turnaround
Yeah,
there.
it is.
It really is, believe me. Like my mom, my grandmother, all of my family, my husband, everybody, they're just kind of like, what have you guys done? And we're just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Found what worked, I guess.
You want to give your, you mentioned dispensary you're working out. You want to give them a shout out here?
Oh yeah, that was Remedy Compassion Center in Auburn, Maine. That's
Cool.
where I first began my journey. So go get
That's
it.
Right
awesome.
on.
And it's funny you mentioned, interesting you mentioned surgery. You know, I find a lot of people who go that route, that
Mhm.
they have to know their options, they may or may not get better, and other symptoms could come up. And, you know, they say surgery cures colitis, but I don't know. I know a lot of people who go that route and still have a lot of symptoms.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that's what some doctors, that's what they recommend because that's all, unfortunately, they know. Um, you mentioned, interesting, you mentioned that, so let's talk about diet, right? So you
Okay.
mentioned veggies and fruits were
Yes.
not your friends for many years.
No.
What else were you finding that you couldn't eat and were causing issues?
Gluten. I gave up gluten pretty much about a year and a half or 2 years ago. Um, because that every time I ate that, I just got bloated and didn't feel well. So once I cut that out, that was like another part of my healing piece, and that helped quite a bit. But no raw fruits or vegetables, except like bananas, sweet potatoes, avocados, limited dairy, not a lot of red meat, not a lot of pretty boring, like chicken and rice, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that's my go-to thing.
Bland is what
Um,
I use to describe my diet.
yep. Yep, pretty boring, not much going on. I do spice it up a little bit now, I'm just I'm really relearning how to be a normal person, because I think I can't eat anything, and I think that, I have to eat chicken and rice and nothing else. But every once in a while I'll try something else and it goes okay, and I'm like, that's weird. Like I really can eat something else besides chicken, rice, and cereal. Like, it's
Yeah.
interesting. So
Yeah.
just kind of
How long have
working
you
with.
been on the juicing for? So I'm trying to figure out, has your diet changed over the years? And I'm realizing you're just getting off prednisone now, and I don't know how long you've been juicing for, but others I've chatted with, depending what natural solution they found and how healed the colon is, they're able to have a much wider range of food now versus before. Has that been your experience, or maybe not yet?
Not yet, because I'm just a nervous Nelly most of the time, because I've been so careful. Because I've been so careful for so long. But I do get encouraged to try new things, and sometimes they go okay, and sometimes they don't. I did learn that whoopie pies with lots of butter, not okay, but,
Right.
but I did try it. So yeah, and what was the other part of your question there?
Just in general, how has your diet changed or not from, when you were at your worst versus now, which seems like you're, on top of the rung, top of the ladder, doing your best?
Yep, I've had a couple worse situations where I've only been able to eat a cup of noodles. Like that was legit, like the only thing I could eat. And I've also had other instances where it's just sandwiches, like turkey, cheese, bread. That's it. Um, so now I'm, able to eat a few more things. Like I've had guacamole and avocados, and that's been okay. Sweet potatoes. So I'm kind of
Branching
learning,
out.
I
Yeah,
guess.
Cool.
Yeah,
definitely.
like a baby.
No, I hear you.
Did you pull out gluten for any particular reason? Like, did you have any blood tests that indicated you were intolerant or insensitive or celiac or anything like that? Or
I've had a blood test that says I'm gluten intolerant, but the day that I cut out gluten, I was sitting in my living room eating cheddar cheese pretzels, and then like a half an hour later, I burped for like an hour. Like I had so much gas, and I was like, well, maybe I just have to stop eating gluten, and so I did like a fasting thing for a couple days just to kind of get everything out, and then I went strictly gluten free from then on, and all the gas and everything went away. So, and that was before. This last flare.
okay,
Gotcha.
cool,
So I've been gluten free before that.
awesome. And so, tell us more about your product. So it seems like you got it before from that original dispensary. How do you obtain your plant now, and what's your juicing process? How often? How much? That sort of stuff.
Yep. So, and I'm a legal patient in the state of Maine, so I'm allowed to have my 6 flowering plants and then my vegetative plants. So I use the vegetative plants to just pick leaves off of as I need them because they'll grow back. So I have two big ones in there right now that I just picked my leaves off of, and they're CBD plants, so I get more CBD than THC. So yeah, so I just do it all myself now, and so pick the leaves off and then rinse them off, put them through the juicer, and it takes a lot of leaves to get like the tiniest bit of juice. Like the cups that I take are 2 ounces, and it takes about 80 grams of leaves to make like that 2 ounces. So it's a lot, but then I just take that, that one shot a day. I put some in the freezer if I have leftovers, but it's a pretty simple, easy process.
Cool. So, sounds like you grow your own plants and you do 2 ounces of juice a day.
Correct.
How about traveling? Do you find traveling away from home within the state difficult?
Yep. When I went to Florida last year, I did not bring any juice with me, and that was 4 days that I went without it. And I came back feeling pretty good, which is kind of weird for me because usually going 4 days without any sort of medication is like, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty much suicide for you. So to be able to go 4 days and come back and still feel okay was pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
But traveling within the state, like I'll bring my vaporizer with me, so I have that tincture if I get nauseous or anything like that. So within the state of Maine, I'm cool, but going outside of Maine, besides Colorado, or Washington, not so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's your medication. You need your
Yep.
medications.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, I can
you and I
with.
think the three of us are blessed to be in legal states,
Yep.
Maine
Oh my God.
and California.
Definitely.
How
I don't know.
how long has Maine been legal? Do you know?
Since 1999.
Okay, awesome.
Right on. Right
Was there anything else alternative that you tried besides medical marijuana? I mean, there's a slew of things. No, you went right into that, huh?
Yep. Just right into that. Yeah, no, nothing else. My mom always tried to get me to do other stuff, but such a nervous Nelly, I was just like, no, not going to do it. But the cannabis seems to be what's working, and I'm going to stick with that for now, and integrate little things as I can.
Cool.
I had a few questions about because I go to Outliers Collective in El Cajon, California. Shout out to Outliers. They provide me with all my flowers, and I extract oil myself in my backyard. My mom and I use Everclear grain alcohol, extract it through the muslin bag, cook it on the rice cooker, the whole spiel. And that's how I sleep through the night. But we've been trying, albeit passively, we've been trying to find a grower to get a regular, steady flow of leaves. But I am allowed to have, I think it is 6 plants, 6 flowering plants and things of that nature. So I remember back. I know it's kind of a hard thing to do. Maybe not hard is not the right word, but there's maybe you can shed some light on what goes into growing. What it takes, the products, the supplies, ventilation, heating, things of that nature.
It's pretty much a second job.
Absolutely.
It's all day, every day kind of thing. Every time you check on your plants, there's something new you've got to diagnose, learn about. Ventilation, you want to have air coming in, air going out. You want to have the right temperature, the right humidity. The plants need the right nutrients.
Right.
I use LEDs at my house just to keep the electricity cost and the heat down. And those seem to work pretty well for the juice plants and the flowering plants that we have.
Have you ever heard of a term called wallapini?
No.
I'm just kind of going off a branch here. We don't have to spend too much time on it, but it's you dig. It's essentially an underground greenhouse. So you dig 6 to 8 feet into the earth, ideally on a natural slope, and you use. I mean, anything down there is all virgin soil, and you use the earth's geothermal heat to grow vegetation year round. You build I mean, obviously it's a project, right?
Yeah.
But you build a retractable roof and create ventilation and. No frost, no mites, no anything like that. And so that I'm trying to, slowly but surely, I'm trying to set myself up for something like that out here in California or Washington, Colorado, wherever I can wherever it leads me. I'm just kind of planting the seed, but I just wanted to see if you had heard of that or thought of even anything.
I've never heard of that, no, but I want to look that up because that sounds awesome. No mites, no nothing, like.
On YouTube, there's this guy that he's been doing it for a few years, and like he follows the growth and whatnot every year. And so if you go, you can spell it's spelled Wall, Wallipini, Wallipini.
Okay. I'm going to look that up.
Check it out. It's really neat, and I definitely want to. I think it'd be neat because now this is just looking way far down the road, but like I think it'd be really cool if I got that going, and if somehow on the other side of the United States that got going, and then you know what I mean?
Yep, that's how it starts.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
Just wanted to plant the seed, so to speak, and see what you thought about that. That's all.
Yeah, I know nothing about it, so I gotta learn.
We have a bunch of Wallipini growers now.
Yeah.
Who might feel about this video all over the U.S.
Change it up a little bit, right?
Yeah, bring out the medicine for sure.
You have to.
That's right.
I'm wondering, medicine cost is obviously high for most people, and insurance covers a big portion of that. Remicade is very expensive, and I think insurance covers that. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for your plants, is anything covered by insurance? Do you pay it yourself? About how much do you pay? What's the investment there?
The investment was quite hefty to be able to get all the lights, nutrients, equipment, everything like that. And insurance does not pay for anything of my medicine. So I've been cash flowing it for the last 4 years, pretty much. And I think, do you want to know like numbers, like how much it was costing me, like out of pocket?
If you want to share, it's up to you.
Okay. Yeah. It was pretty much probably $600 a month or so that we were, that's people's rent, mortgage, 2-car payments. That's what we were just spending on just my medicine. So now that we've invested all, our money into that equipment, we can grow it ourselves, and it's not as costly. I mean, my electricity bill you'd probably think otherwise looking at it, but it's really not that bad. I mean, maybe $200 a month for now, but it's beans compared to being healthy. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? I can't put a price on my health, so.
Yeah, I mean, you're spending $200 a month, and you don't have to have surgery and lose organs and have other symptoms. Yeah,
That's right.
pretty good. And
Yep.
I'm just learning about the endocannabinoid system and the numerous spots in the body where it plugs in. It's not just your colon. It's so many parts of your body, from brain to joints to everything that it's really helping you with, right? Joint pain. Yeah.
Yeah. Joint pain, just your brain in general, putting the neurons back together and, like you said, bringing it back, where it belongs instead of keeping it out. So.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Excellent.
How about so going back to diet, since that's such a big concern for people with health disorders, has your favorite food changed over the years? I know for me, I used to love certain unhealthy foods, and now I love certain healthy foods. Has that anything happened like that with you, or typical same diet?
I've always been a pasta girl, so that's one thing that I've been able to keep for a long time. And then when I went gluten-free, the only pasta I was trying was like rice pasta and corn pasta, and I was like, oh my god, how am I gonna live without pasta? But I found some Ronzini makes a really good gluten-free pasta, so I'm able to eat that okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my favorite foods I'm not able really to eat anymore, like that New York pizza that you were talking about, like.
Yep.
Cheesecake, pretty much, yeah. Not so much anymore though, but someday maybe.
I've kind of made healthy versions of all that stuff, and it's taken a little bit for my taste buds to get used to it, right? But like, I've done pad thai over kelp noodles, and that was really good. I've done vegan cheesecake, which is actually just need a food processor, and the main ingredients are like cashews and dates and coconut milk, and it's super good.
Well, that sounds so
and I, like you, I used to love, strawberry cheesecake was my thing growing up.
Yep.
And actually, this is my favorite dessert. There's a company called, I don't know where you can find it here in California. We're blessed with so many healthy eateries, but Coconut Dream is a dessert. It's a little popsicle stick, and it comes in a little container. And it's called
Yep.
Coconut Dream, gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, all that stuff, and it's super good and super healthy. Look them up if you can find it.
I think I've seen it in the stores, but I've never, like, again, I can't try that, but
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, everything I pick up, I look at the ingredients. Like, okay, what can I have, right?
yep, pretty much. And then you kind of throw it in the cart, and you're like, well, let's hope for the best.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's all
exactly.
trial and error at this point.
Yes,
We are our own lab experiments, right?
Absolutely.
The truth.
Yep. Let me see what other question I wanted to ask. Or do you have anything that you wanted to plug in?
So I just kind of going back to what you guys were talking about, the cooking. I have been invited to. I've yet to take the chance and do it, but these natural cooking and like preparing food naturally, and you know, I went up to a health clinic called True North Health Clinic in Santa Rosa, which is about an hour north of San Francisco, and I just so happened to tour the premises when they had a celebrity chef there. Her name was Katie May, and she specializes in whole food, plant-based diet. And she made latkes
Mhm.
and fettuccine alfredo with no dairy, no oil, no milk, with mush. It was incredible. It was one of the most amazing seminars. The whole point I'm getting at is that they offer all sorts of these programs and things that teach you how to make delicious desserts and things that, but using ingredients that you can use. They're just variations. Um, again, like just to touch on what Joel said, is that we are blessed to be in California and that have, those options. Would that be something that you would see doing for yourself? Enrolling in a class like that?
I would definitely do that. There's a lot of different things that you can cook and, just like you said, make the regular stuff gluten free and just have a better version than what it was. So yeah, I think that would be really cool to have a class like that to teach.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teaching that needs.
If you're comfortable with it, after I can send you the email of because I get her emails regularly.
Mm-hmm.
She does webinars, online webinars, free registration, things of that nature, and it's really well put together. I own two of her e-cookbooks. It's a Mexican e-cookbook and an Italian e-cookbook, which is both of my nationalities, and so like I had to buy them, and I was like, it's really well put together. So if you're comfortable with it, I'll slide you it, and please feel free to look through it. It's really neat.
Absolutely, because Mexican and Italian foods are two of my favorite things. So
Oh yeah.
be able to cook those differently, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Love to try that.
Another good blog to check out is I forgot her last name, but Danielle is her first name. She has colitis, and she has a blog called Against the Grain.
Mm-hmm.
It's all gluten-free, grain-free, dairy-free, basically like paleo, STD, GAPS-ish. And I found some really good recipes on there to check out as well.
I know there's so much of Pinterest too. I get lost on that for like 17 hours looking
Yeah.
at all the different recipes and stuff that you can make on there.
Yep,
Oh yeah.
Yep. So Justine, if you could go back in time and stand before yourself at age, 13 when you were diagnosed, what would you tell yourself?
Oh man, I would just tell myself that you were given this for a reason. It's not something to whine or bitch about. You got it. Go get it. You know what I mean? Tell all the people, don't be scared. My dad, he always called me a tough cookie because I always went through, these weird little times of stuff. But, I just say, you can do it, girl. Don't even worry.
And I love that you shared that because
Me too.
people, I agree too that everything that comes into our life is there for a reason. So
Yep.
if you can share, why do you think you have this gift of Crohn's? Why did this appear in your life?
I think that this appeared in my life so that I can help other people because I'm like I tell you I'm a nervous Nelly, absolutely, but I also don't care. You know what I mean? Like not saying I don't care, but like I just want you to know. You know what I mean? Like I'm scared, but at the same time I'm so sure of myself. Like I know that people just need to know that there's a better option. I mean, I see like little 4 or 5 year old kids in the hospital getting surgeries injected with Remicade, and I'm just like, oh man, like I knew what I was like at 20 something on Remicade. I can only imagine a little 4 or 5 year old child whose brain's still developing, whose body's still developing, and I don't know, it just makes me sad. So I know that I'm here to tell other people about something that's so easy and so great.
Yeah.
So.
What are your thoughts on the raw cannabis juice and children that are still growing? I haven't done research myself. Would you recommend that, or what have you heard?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I don't know too much about kids that juice. I know I've seen one, I think his name was Landon. He had cancer, and I do believe that he juices. I think I saw that on one of the Sanjay Gupta specials. I think he made a smoothie or something like that on one of the shows. But that's why research needs to be done, on how it's affecting the brain and what it's doing, so that if it's a good option for a kid, they can have it. I'm not saying that kids need it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If it were an option for your child over something like oxycodone or prednisone, try it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's there. My mom has always said that if cannabis were the way it was now, she would have moved all our whole family out to Colorado to be able to try anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
And speaking of moving to Colorado, are you familiar with Wendy and Colton Turner?
Yes.
Yeah, so they moved to Colorado, and I think he's around 13 or 15, and he's still growing and no issues with his, and he'll be a future interview.
Yeah. Oh,
But I
please.
want to learn more about him and his research because he's a great story. I believe 1 year on cannabis. He does capsules, is my understanding, and he's doing great. And I believe eats what he wants too. But I think a lot of that too is I don't know his full story, but I know for me, it took me 10 years of Western meds before I went natural route to kind of help the colon repair. And it sounds like yourself, you did many years of the Western route before the colon's repairing. And now it's repaired, I can only imagine that your diet will be able to get better on what you can eat by more staying a natural route. It seems to make sense for me.
Yep, that's what I'm hoping for. I mean, I hear from other people that they're able to do that, but it's just, I've been living my life the same way for the last 15 years, and for someone to tell me that I could, eat an orange or a peach, you're crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
But definitely something to try.
Yeah, so tell us about, I think on one of the articles online, I saw the pictures of your colon. So what is your practitioner, what does your GI, your doctor say regarding, what you're doing with the cannabis and how it's healing and the path you're going and the medicine and all that?
So she's very happy for me. She still, she just doesn't get it. I went to see her the other day, and she is just so confused by the fact that I've done this. You know what I mean? I did not have to take a Remicade or a methotrexate or any one of the things that she's learned about to be well. And every time I have blood work, it comes back fine. My colonoscopies look great. So she said that she's not ready to be quoted just yet. But I am hopeful that, maybe someday I can get her right here next to me and, show the world my pictures just like I've done. So she supports me in what I do, but she just doesn't get it.
Yeah, but undeniably, she sees your health improving through what you're doing.
Yep, absolutely. She said that. I just had my checkup on the 3rd, and she said that it's, not a lie what you've done. I can see it right there, in your blood work and your face and your everything. And, she touches my belly. Does that hurt? Nope. And then she's like, and how often do you poop? Because I used to go poop, dude, 12, 15 or more times a day, in the middle of the dinner, having to go to the bathroom. But now, I have days where I don't even go poop, and I guess that's normal for people to not poop for the day.
But for us, it's like, what? I've only had 3 bowel movements today? How?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh my God, I haven't pooped in a day. What is wrong with me? Who should I call? You know what I mean? Do I have a blockage? What is this? But so I have to retrain my brain to know that I'm normal. But yeah, so I could talk about pooping for 25 hours, but yep.
That makes 2 of us. That makes 2 of us, Justine. It makes 2 of us.
Yeah.
Well, because people always get awkward about it, and I'm like, Crohn's is about pooping. If you can't talk about poop,
you're not going to make it through this.
You're never going to make it.
You're
never
not.
going to make it. Because at first, I used to be, scared because they'd ask you, so how often do you poop? And I'm like,
yeah.
What's normal?
Yeah, exactly.
But then, now I'm just like, gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah. Have they talked about the Bristol stool chart with you at all?
I know we went over that like when I was in the hospital, but I've never used it like to refer to my poop. But I'm just always like I tell her exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know, like the color. I'm like I can text you a picture if you
Yeah,
want.
exactly. If you like.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important that there's a chart, and we can refer to the chart to describe
Yeah.
what poop looks like.
Yeah, if you're gonna pick up your poop and put it next to the chart, you know what I mean? Like that's what it looks like. Yeah. That looks like a 2.
Type 2, type 3, I think. Yeah.
Going now that we're on this topic, what do you have a benchmark that lets you know how you're doing? Like for me, because I was with you, like when I was living downtown and bartending, I was working to live because I would work from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. and then wake up and use the restroom 17 times so that I could work that chunk of, and then do it all over again. So it was same range, and so for now I measure my health, and if I do 3 to 5 a day, I'm okay. But
Yep.
does that sound about right, or?
That does sound about right. I mean, like now, my poop situation, I go like maybe once or twice, sometimes 0.
Okay.
But when I was so sick, that's how I knew how sick I was, by how many times I was going to the bathroom. And then when you're pooping out bile, that's a problem.
Absolutely.
Like you've pooped out everything and you can't poop out anything more.
Exactly.
So, yep, I think a lot of people use that for a benchmark of, how many times they're going to the bathroom, what it looks like, what they've eaten, how it smells. I know that sounds weird, but that's a real telltale sign of how you're feeling.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean the poop is I've done a lot of studies in Eastern medicine. Poop is definitely a window to our health, including like you said, obviously the look and the color, but including the smell. Yeah,
Yep.
the more it smells, you probably are a little bit off. You ate something maybe you shouldn't have, or you cheated, or whatever it is.
Yep.
I know with me and the New York pizza I had, like I've been pretty blessed with the natural stuff I've been doing. I go pretty much once a day, and I'm decent. And it's a solid bowel movement. And then with the pizza, yeah, I knew that would throw me off, and I was off for a couple of days, and I got back to normal. And I attribute that to the specific diet. I do the SCD paleo diet kind of thing, and that's kind of made me really regular. But yeah, eat something off, like for you it was the whoopie pie, right? Like you're got an issue there, right? Yeah.
Now I know, and you know what? I made like a whole mess of whoopie pies, and so now I can't even eat them. So I'm gonna have to like give them away to people because I was like, I'm not doing that again. No, thank you.
There's always a way, I've taken something like natural healing cooking classes and stuff. There's always a way to make your favorite food with healthy ingredients. So, look at each ingredient and see how do I replace that with something I can eat, and there you go. You have your natural Justine whoopie pie.
I'm gonna have to do that.
Gotcha.
Weed infused whoopie pie.
Oh. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm thinking like maybe coconut oil instead of butter or something like that. Maybe a better option. And a can of whoopie pie, definitely.
Oh, wow. That would be incredible. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Yep. There I go again.
It's kind of an hour away. Let me see. Last question I have is, I imagine those listening to this interview have a loved one with Crohn's or colitis, maybe a son, a daughter, a friend, maybe themselves, or a colleague, and they're trying to find a better solution. And seemingly, us here have been on the path, and we found things that help us. What would you say directly to them on their journey, on their path, because they're probably on medication or not, that's not helping them. They're in a place of hurt. What would you say directly to someone like that?
To someone that was in a bad place?
Yeah, like they're right now at the place where they're going like 20 times a day and they don't know what to do.
Oh man. Okay, so like I get these people that like message me all the time that are in that situation that just feel just so bad, you know what I mean? And you just have to tell them, and this is what I pretty much say, is that it can get better. There are other options out there. It doesn't stop here. There's way more than whatever your doctor's telling you. You just have to have the strength to say no and try something else. You just have to go learn about, you're not the only one with Crohn's disease. You're not the only one with colitis. There's a whole mess of other people out there that have done different things. So just do the research, just look it up, watch videos, learn, then give it a try. Because you never try, you'll never know. So.
Absolutely. Are there any particular online resources that you found helpful? I mean, I found good and I found bad. It sounds like you've also done the research online. Where would you recommend somebody look, perhaps?
I always have people start YouTube, I think is a great resource. Dr. Courtney, because he knows a lot about the endocannabinoid system, juicing in general. Who else do I look at? And then mind always escapes me. Like Rick Simpson, I always, even just reading about people that have cancer and have used cannabis, that's always a good idea too, just to kind of get that.
Yep.
Cancer is way worse than Crohn's liver. So.
Right. And I think people with IBD, Crohn's colitis, are at a higher propensity to obtain cancer. I mean, it's just a lot of inflammation building up, I believe.
Yep.
Are you familiar with Dr. Justin Sulak? He's
Yep.
He's integrated health in Falmouth, Maine. And I think he does online consults. Have you ever spoken to him, or would you recommend someone perhaps reach out to him?
Yep, he's amazing. He knows a lot about cannabis. When I first went to the dispensary, he was actually the one that taught me about vaporizing, because they did after they closed session, and he came in and showed us a bunch of different vapes and stuff like that. But he's super knowledgeable, and he knows a lot about cannabis. I don't know if I've ever really met him. I don't think I've ever met him. I've just kind of indirectly heard about him. But his videos on his website are great too, and he has a lot of insight to cannabis, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'll put a link to his website in the transcript of his video for sure, down below. Do you have another question?
Yeah, I just wanted to share one book that helped me. This is called Self-Healing Crohn's and Colitis by Dr. David Klein. This was the first piece of literature that, when I was 111 pounds in my bed, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I remember that was the turning point. I was like, wait, there's other options. There are other routes. And it was really, and it's a long process, turbulent, but it's led me to here. And to be sitting here sharing this conversation with you, it's just supernatural is the only way I can describe it.
It really is, though. It's just so amazing because, in my eyes, I should be, dead from all that stuff, that I went through. And you guys probably have felt that way, too, that you're just like, why am I still alive after all of that crazy stuff that I've been through? So I'm just so happy that you guys, wanted to talk to me. I don't know. It's still weird that people care about my colon. I don't know.
Well, I think we're all on the same mission. I mean, we really are. I really want to get out this information. I spent, the 3 a.m. hours, right? The 3 a.m. hours on prednisone, all that information that I researched, weeded through the bad, the good, the charlatans, the naysayers, what have you. I remember being on one website and talking about, oh, I met this person and they were cured. And they were like, oh, that's not possible. And I'm like, well, but here's the evidence. So that's really what's behind the foundation and getting these stories out. And, next we'll be chatting with integrative doctors who are really doing well, Dr. Sulak and others who are doing, they're at the forefront of the research of those who really understand what's working versus your GI. It's interesting because I saw there's an online course which does CEU, so continuing education credits for doctors in the medical marijuana space. So the information is out there. They just have to want to get that, and getting your story out there will show doctors and everyone that, hey, this really is a healing modality. Let's learn more on the positives and negatives. And it's non-psychotropic. So when you juice, your head is completely fine. You don't get, the Cheech and Chong, what's up, man? None of that stuff, right?
No, none of that at all. It's just like putting kale or spinach. I mean, it tastes like you just cut the grass, literally.
Sure.
And it makes your poop smell, too. That's the other thing. My poop smells like weed, but inside and out. Anyway.
Here.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put honey in there, right? I mean, you could put honey to become a sweetener.
Stevia.
It's probably I don't know, a big drink here is wheatgrass. Have you heard of that?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's probably pretty similar to that. It's like grass.
It is very similar to that. Yep. You can make smoothies, too. You can put, bananas, strawberries, stuff like that. But I'm just hardcore in, the straight juice. Yep.
You put in a shot glass, too? Like a tequila shot glass? And down
No, I should. I never actually thought that. I have just, have a plastic cup. I should start putting it in a shot glass, though, ready to party.
Why not? That's your party drug.
That's my party drug. Yep.
But it's when you connect with people that have been on a similar path and are on a similar route and are thinking on similar brainwaves, these kinds of gooberness or goofiness comes out because it's so rewarding. And if I can pull a SAT word out, ebullient, there's so much joy. And so the way you say thanks to us, thank to you for sharing and agreeing to this. It was really a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much, Justine. What's that?
Oh my God. I just want everybody to know. You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
there's
no
other
kidding.
options out there, and just try something.
Hmm.
You know,
Something safe. Something safe.
something. Yeah, that doesn't
Save
make
the
you a
side
crazy.
effects. Yeah, save
Yes.
the years of losing hair, moon phase, changing your personality, all that kind of stuff. And at the same time, I mean, it's good to say it may not be for everybody,
That's
right?
true.
I mean, you may have some negative symptoms for this, or maybe you have moral beliefs. Maybe you're in a legal state. You know, hopefully, I think there's a bunch of states on the ballot in 2015 and 2016 to make it legal. But there's at the end of the day, there's a lot of other options out there, and I think we're our own best doctor. We kind of are at the forefront, and we need to take ownage of our own health.
I agree, because who knows your body better than you? You know what I mean? Like how I know how I feel all the time. I'm a very good gauge of it. You guys must have that too, right? You know, like every minute you know how you're feeling.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. A lot of that's come for me through yoga and meditation, and I recently got Reiki trained, and all of that just getting plugged in more on what I'm feeling now and what I need and where I should go. It's been a great path.
See, that's what I got to do more of, and that's probably why I talk to you too. See,
Mm,
every time like every experience I have in my life, I always take something back that I'm missing. You know what I mean? Like I'm this
Absolutely.
big giant puzzle, and I've got little pieces everywhere that I need to find. So thank you.
it's so funny you said that because I just posted this on Facebook. I was meditating in our meditation garden out back, and this like thought came to me. It was life is a giant jigsaw puzzle with like
Mhm.
an infinite amount of pieces, and meditation brings the pieces together. And it just takes a couple minutes a day. I'm a huge fan of the Calm app,
Mhm.
CALM. It's on the Android store, it's in the iPhone store, and it's just, they have guided meditations on there. I use my own binaural beats, and it's helped me so much. I was reading a blog recently, and the guy was saying something like, if you have 20 minutes a day, meditate for 30 minutes. If you have 10 minutes, meditate for 20 minutes. And if you have no time, meditate for an hour. That's really like how much stuff like you need to like let go of and let the pieces kind
Yeah.
of come together. I'm an overcommitter and I'm multi-passionate. I have so many different things I love doing, but I'm
Yeah.
only one person, and it's only 24 hours in a day. I gotta sleep, gotta eat, all that fun stuff. So meditation really helps me see what's important. And important today on a Saturday is talking to you and having Christian over and having this interview.
I
Absolutely.
know, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
This is how I want to spend like every Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday night and just like talking to people and sharing the knowledge.
You will. You will. And maybe, Justine, thanks so much for chatting with us. And we hope to chat with you again real soon.
Thank you both so much. I appreciate you guys taking out a Saturday night for me, and thank you so much. Hope to talk again.
Okay. We'll see you, Justine.